All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Faces of Business. I am your host, Damon Pistolka, and I am not just excited, not just incredibly excited. I am extremely, incredibly, I don't even know the right word, excited to have Jen Hamilton on with us today, talking about identifying fractional executive resources for your business. Jen, awesome having you here.
I'm also whatever the bigger word than excited is to be here. I'm extremely excited. It's always fun to have these conversations with you. And I just am so grateful for the work you're doing, putting these resources, interviewing folks like myself and others. Damon, it's really needed for people to understand and access. Like, what else can I do? It's so hard to get stuck in your day to day and to be tunnel vision focused on what's challenging and trying to just swim through this life that is so challenging as this business. So I'm grateful for you putting this on and having me back.
Awesome. Well, I lived that way for many, many years inside of the businesses, and I know how that can be. You get that tunnel vision on making them work, and you really being able to stand up and talk to people like yourself and just learn from others is such an important thing for us to broaden what we think can happen in these businesses so it can work. And I love to talk today about identifying fractional executive resources because that's a fairly new topic. So talk a little bit about fractional executive resources and what that really means.
The simplest way, it's not a full definition, but the simplest, just to keep it super simple, is that you get expert executives part-time.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people are like, what is that fractional COO? Because that's the kind of fractional I am. And I'm like, fractional is just a fancy word for part-time. We do more than that, but that I think is the first beginning of opening your mind to what's possible. Is that what is a challenge? And my mentor, who you know as well, Ben Wolf, and I love learning from him first, which was there's this catch-22. You're a small business, and in order to get to the next level or deal with this challenge or just be able to go on from where you are stuck, you need an experienced executive. But yet, you have to get to that next level to afford an experienced executive. So that's the whole catch-22. And part of what I think is actually a win for the professionals that we are, as well as the businesses who are like, I'm just not at that level where I can have a full-time experienced executive. It's a win for both of us because you can get access to these expertise without having to worry about, I can't afford it. So we can help you get to that next level where you can transition to a full-time, or some people just stick with fractional. Like, this is pretty sweet, I don't have to put you on my salary.
Yeah. I think it's a great way. It is just paying for an experienced executive part-time. And I think about what was the saying when someone went to have some famous painter paint them a painting and they could paint it in like 3 minutes and they it's thousands of dollars. And it's like, you really do get that kind of resource because the fractional executives are typically someone that's got a lot of experience and flexible enough to be able to draw on that experience and bring them together for this situation to really make a difference.
There's another piece to it that I was clued into recently that is, yes, we have lots of past experience and we're at an executive level, right? It's not something where we are managing. Executive means you're doing strategy, you're leading teams, you have excellent leadership skills, you have project management skills, you have strategic skills. But the other thing that I think is really neat that is an advantage for businesses that work with a fractional versus a full-time. So even if you can afford full-time, you are having them now only in your business. And one of the things that we keep bringing, and I do this almost every week, is I'm still in other businesses, even when I'm working with my clients. So if you could, as a business owner, go peek in the window of another business and be like, how are you doing this? you can't. They're not going to let you. But I already am. I'm in there trying things out here, tweaking it a little bit. I'm like, ooh, that's going to work for this client. So we keep bringing that ability to see outside of your business. Sometimes you could say competitors because oftentimes we work in a niche, but I see it really more as a way to actually have us go collaborate with others on your behalf.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point, because I didn't, we had always talked about the fact that you have all these experiences and you bring them together, but you're right, because you're constantly testing something over here and going, well, that may apply over here.
Yes.
That's great. So you have a fractional COO community. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think it's important, first of all, to understand that there are communities out here where if someone wants to understand more about a fractional executive, or especially in this case, in your community, a COO, and what that really means, and what these communities are really doing.
There are more and more fractional leadership types of communities. There's ones for all fractional leadership. So, one thing we probably should be clear too is there are different kinds of executive seats. I obviously, being one who sits in the operating chief operating officer, means I am second in command, you could say, COO, you could say, integrator for those who are in EOS, right hand leader. There's all kinds of things. We help run the business. But one of the things that I love about what we do is we also see the other leadership roles. So
Mm-hmm.
we are like knowing, okay, you need a strategic leader in marketing or finance or sales or IT. I met a fractional chief AI officer last week, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a thing now. And so one of the things is to know that there are strategic leaders in different areas of your business. And now in this world, there are ways to get them at a fraction of the cost and a
Yeah.
fraction of the time. So there are lots of communities for that. And there are some of us fractionals that have communities just for our essentially area of expertise. So there
Mm-hmm.
are marketing folks, finance, sometimes they're entire firms or sometimes they're community. And my community is called Fractional COO Collective. And so these are mostly solo practitioners. So we are all our own business and we have our own expertise, different industries, different size
Mm-hmm.
businesses, different phases of businesses. We come together for a couple reasons. One, we come together because when you get to this position, there is no other way to learn other than your peers. When you get
Mm-hmm.
to a leadership position, if you're a business owner, what do? You go hang out with other business owners. What would you do as an executive? You go hang out with other executives. So we make each other stronger. We are great alone, but we are stronger together.
Yeah.
Learn together, solve problems together. So that's a big win for them and for our clients. But we also have the ability to refer to each other. So one of the things that I think makes me so proud is that we're a truly collaborative profession. Most of the fractionals are, because we can't possibly work with a lot of people. I mean, that's
Yes.
different than a lot of industries, is that we are limited, be it by our own capacity of who we can work with. And yet we're also committed to our a business, whether it's our client or not, getting the results that they
Mm-hmm.
need and deserve. And so one of the things that I love about our community is I have referred members to different small businesses who are a much better fit. So having that best fit person is something we can do in our community, but also my members refer to each other. And I love it because I think that again, we're collaborative, but we're also putting the client's needs first. And if we're
Yeah.
not the best solution for it, it's okay. We know someone who is.
Yeah. And that's huge, is really getting the right help in a business.
And
Yeah.
again, I will have I will have people who think, oh, you're a COO, you can help me project manage, or you can help me with my administrative tasks. And so sometimes you're not even sure what kind of professional you need. So you can even come to us and I will say, let me give you a great executive assistant firm that you can go find,
Mm-hmm.
or I can even let them know what you need. Is it project manager? All of these areas, it's hard to know. And so one of the things that we're also great at is like saying, no, we're not who you're looking for or who you need right now.
Yeah.
But because we've done this with so many different companies and so long in our career, we know where to point you. And sometimes that's the biggest benefit. I've had so many people be like, thank you so much for telling me I'm not ready for you yet.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's a big thing. And to talk about it today is in identifying a fractional resource for your business. What are some of the indications that that you might be ready for it?
It's a good question. And of course, it depends on what kind of fractional or what kind of
Mhm.
area of your business. What I like to do is look at it by function. You have different functions of your business. Like we said, marketing, sales, delivery of the product or service, back office, administrative things, finance type of things. There's
Mhm.
all these different areas. A fractional can be great in any of it. But where I think a lot of people are needing and saying it's time for a fractional is when you are getting lost in the strategy or have none.
Mhm.
As an executive, we think in why are we doing things, not how are we doing things. So if you only have people that are doers who are focused on the how and no one focused on the why and what, that's when you're missing a strategic mind. If it's all on you as the business owner to figure out what we're doing and why we're doing it, it's going to burn you out, especially because if your expertise isn't marketing and everyone's looking to you to decide why should we be doing this marketing and what should we be doing, then you have to take it to the level of tell them how we're going to do that. It's very exhausting, especially because, as I said, there's different parts of a fractional business. So if you are finding that you're unable to really put in the effort towards this area of the business to figure out why we're doing something, should we be doing something, what we should be doing, and then directing the team on how or to do it, that's when you're needing that executive leadership.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because you know, why or what direction should we go is really on the executive level. It's like where do we need to head in this part of the business? Like you said, it could be a CFO, COO, CMO, CRO. There's all different that or the CEO because there are some fractional CEOs that really help well too. But that why, what direction are we going and why? I think those can be really good that a fractional executive can bring in and go, okay, especially in your case in the COO, is like, okay, look at the business and go, okay, what isn't working, what's working right. And a lot of times you can see it, but what the next piece behind that is where are we going and why are we doing that?
Right.
That's the question that's hard to do because as you talked about before, you as a fractional, you have all these people, these other businesses that you've been in and all this experience that you're getting now with other clients that can come to bear on these problems. Whereas the business owner is in there running the business or the person in charge of that business now is doing that. You bring this other viewpoint in there and that outside perspective is huge, I believe, that the fractional resource brings to the business.
Yes. And it's hard, even if you have a fresh new hire, that outside perspective wanes after a while. And you probably experience it.
Yeah.
You get someone new in a position who has knowledge that you don't have, whatever the position is.
Yeah.
It could be an executive assistant, it could be a marketing assistant. Like they know something you don't know, and it's like, whoo, it's a little boost of energy. Like, hey, we could do something I never thought of. So to do that at an executive level is a real turbo boost because now you're getting it to be smart and strategic
Yeah.
and then take it to the level of systematic so that it's repeatable. We can do make sure we're going towards the results. We know what the
Yeah.
results we want. We know what to tweak instead of just getting stuck in like, okay, we're going to do this marketing strategy now. It's like, well, should we? Is that the right people? Are they going to be the ones who actually are listening to us. Like I think one of the biggest jobs we have is to be a questioner.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think it is to really ask, well, as you said, why are we going this direction? And then offer suggestions or help the people to find their own direction.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
We don't have to be an expert in everything, but we are so good at asking enough questions to help, like you said, lead them in the right direction.
Hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. So now your community, one of the things that you guys do a lot of is educating people on fractional resources, what they can do, how they can help. What are some of the fun things that you get to do working with your community and just educating people?
Well, I will say my selfish thing first, which is I get to learn, I get to grow, and I think that's what had me start in the first place. Is I was looking for a place where just fractional COOs gathered and ops controlled people who think like me, people who have the challenges like I do that are serving different clients, and I couldn't find it, so that's why I started it and I lead it. Well, one of my favorite things to see is that I get to bring to other fractionals what I have learned and see them learn from others. So I just love that collective wisdom that we're bringing together. But I keep getting to be better. I keep getting to learn too. So my favorite thing is when the light bulbs go off for us. And then I just know that there's a ripple effect because when they
Yeah.
are seeing something new or seeing something differently, I know they're going to go to their clients and they're going to make that happen in different places. And we just get to take our ops geekiness and make a difference in a way that is probably behind the curtain. We're
Yep.
definitely not at the front stage, but it makes everybody else look good. We know, okay, if we just do these tweaks or we take these little tools that I learned at this round table or with this other fractional CEO, I know that I can go in and do something better. And they may not
Yeah.
even know it was me who made it happen because we try to make the team look good. We try to like
Yes.
make the CEO look good. And we just sort of slightly just hang out in the background and just push the team to be better. And so that to me is what's most exciting is that we learn from each other and we take it out there and make a difference that has this ripple effect throughout. One of the things that I probably have said is on your show before, but my whole thing is that when you really look at what influences a community, it's the small businesses that make the most impact.
Yeah.
It's the ones who are giving the most jobs. It's the ones who are providing the services and the products. But they also, when they're doing well, they give back to their community. If you look at who donates to a school or who is helping out the local community or volunteering or whatever it is, they most of the time are connected to a small business. So there's just so many amazing things that can happen to our communities, to our families when small businesses are doing well. And that's what lights me up is that I know if we can just get them to be a little bit better, everything goes better. Showing up at work goes better if you work for a small business. Being able to be served or getting products from them goes better. And then everybody that is profitable and successful and has a time that they will usually give back. They want to go and help something in their community, and that's what's exciting to me when we can free them up and give them some financial freedom to go make the difference they want to make.
That is huge. That is huge. I'm glad you brought it up because the small business effect, in our community is massive. I mean, like you said, you can look at the big communities, the big businesses all you want, but the small businesses are the ones that are in the background that are donating to, help rebuild the track at this high school or putting in the time at their local community center or the church or wherever they're at. They're really helping out in that community. And it's just, they are the heartbeat of it. And then when those businesses are doing better, they're spending more money on products and services. They're able to pay the people better. And then to see, the owners themselves personally feeling better, less time, less stress, and making a bit more money. That's a good thing.
Well, it gives them choice. And that's where you and I really get excited too, is that when it's time to choose to leave, they have something so valuable that you can help them exit,
Yes.
not just to get a dollar amount. That's not what it's about, though that is nice.
Yeah.
It is about having your freedom to be with your family, your freedom to be
Yeah.
in your community, your freedom to go start another business. We should
Yes.
get that too.
Yes. Yes. And that freedom and knowing that whenever whatever your next is that your business that's going to be there, if it's set up right, it's going to continue on and continue to provide for everyone that it has up till then, and continue to do that well into the future. Because that's one of the things that in small business, you really hate to see, that something had been there 10, 20, 30, 40 years, even sometimes. And the owners have not set it up well, have not taken and gotten those resources, and they die. And pretty soon the buildings are vacant and the equipment's all gone, or the whatever, the parking lot's empty, and it's something else eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you're looking at the fractional COO community and out in the business world, what things are exciting you in the fall of 2025?
It would be remiss if I didn't say AI.
Yeah. Oh,
This
yeah.
is definitely everywhere I turn. Networking meetings, education meetings, groups, like AI is coming up over and over again, and it's been a conversation for a while. But I think I was just having a conversation earlier today with a gentleman who is a tech IT specialist for small businesses. I think that where I see it going ideally is making it simple enough
Yes.
and useful enough for small businesses, because it can be very complicated and can be very confusing. And this is one of the things that fractionals can really help with, because where we have the time to go network, the time to go learn,
Yes.
trust me, I am just deluging myself in everything I can learn, but with a filter. So when you're a small business owner, you just feel like I'm supposed to do something with AI, but I don't know what. Where we are moving forward with to help our small businesses is that we level ourselves up so we can bring the best to you, and figure out what's, if I may, crap and what is worth
Yeah. Yeah.
actually going to make the business better. So I think that's the thing that I see for us, and then we can bring that to other businesses. It's how do we make this relevant and useful instead of a shiny distraction.
Yeah. I think that's huge. Two things you said were huge. First of all, AI is, yeah, it's just everywhere. I mean, if I looked at all my browsers right now, I bet I got 3 or 4 browsers that are set on AI doing something, or that I've used to do something today. And because it is a handy tool, it's a handy tool. And if we don't understand how to use it and how to implement it in business intelligently to allow our people to do more and better and faster, we're just gonna get overtaken by the people that are.
Yeah.
Um, and the second thing that a fractional person brings, and it was before we talked about it, but this is a great part of it, is to be an effective fractional COO in this example. You should know, and we're talking about identifying fractional executive resources for your business today. I mean, if you're talking to a fractional COO or any fractional in their specific area of expertise, and if they can't offer, I know somebody that can do this, I know somebody that can do this, I know somebody can do this. If I'm in finance, there are things that they have. They have a CPA that specializes in the way they do. They have this, or CRO or COO. That's a great question. I think is like, these are the kind of things that we have. Who are you related to, or who do you have a relationship with that can help us in these things? Because that time to identify and validate and make sure that that's somebody that we really want to work with is huge when I'm a business owner trying to run everything else. And a fractional person can take that to almost very much less time. And the fractional person is also, when you're in some place and you're a fractional person, you do not want to recommend somebody and bring them in and they're not going to do well, because that just looks poorly on you. Plus it just creates more work that you gotta get out of. So I think it's a great benefit for a business owner that is identifying, trying to look for those fractional resources. Like, okay, here are the problems we have. How would you approach them differently, or who do the people you know, because it's so huge.
Absolutely. Well, and it's part of why fractional CEOs are attracted to our community as well, is that we want a shortcut. And one of my favorite places to go when I don't have a resource already in my network, which I do have quite a few, or a tool, a tool like we're talking about AI, and what's your favorite tool? What's your, I was onboarded with an incredibly effective employee engagement tool this morning, so we are constantly looking for that. But my shortcut is to go ask other fractional CEOs, what have
Yes.
you used? What are you doing? So I know that's one reason that fractional CEOs will come to us too, is that they don't want to spend all their time figuring it out. We want those shortcuts from our fellow professionals that know and think like us.
Yes. Yeah. That's a great point about your fractional COO community, is you can share those amongst the COOs. And again, if someone's referring somebody, it's their reputation. So you do have a higher level of confidence when someone refers somebody.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I have had it go really well, and I have had it go really poorly when
Yeah.
I refer someone in. And I do own and clean up any mess of something I've referred. So it makes you more cautious, like you said.
Oh yes, yes, and I think I mean it's another a good thing from a business executive's perspective, is like, okay, great, you're saying Jen can come in and do this. That's awesome. You're the one that gets to make sure coordinate it. You're the one that gets to do it. Okay, yep, make it go away.
Yes.
And that's really what the fractional executive can help bring, is organize the right people from outside and coordinate them with the inside to actually have things get done.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because the other thing about a smaller and even medium-sized business, and probably even a very large business, is that you don't have to have everything internal. In fact, sometimes that's more harmful than helpful.
Yes. Yes.
And nowadays, there is the gig economy, there's just different vendors and different solutions. And so, navigating all of that, I think that's where a lot of times we do have that benefit, is we're trying to find solutions that work in fitting new puzzle pieces into new puzzles these days. Is it's no longer the day of you just hire people full time and they're there for 40 years and you're taking care of their pension. So
Yeah.
now there's a lot more little puzzle pieces that we're trying to fit in.
Yes. I agree 100%. And that is so relevant too, because we we can be doing a project, and we need to find that who that can help us in those specific technical details. And when that project is done, if we're out there hiring full-time people for each one of them, well, then we have something to deal with. But knowing those people that can help us with that specific thing, applying that resource effectively when needed, and then the resource going away when it's not, is a huge thing for business today.
Well, I find that one of the biggest challenges that I have with small businesses and why they're stuck, why they've hit a ceiling, is that they haven't fired the people they knew they need to fire. And so it's much easier when they're not your employee and
Yeah.
they're a contractor with a certain thing. So we still work through that, of course.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
not,
yeah.
I don't like to think I'm the hatchet queen. Like, I'm not going in and firing. We want to make it work with who you have. But
Hmm.
oftentimes, that's part of what's nice about a solution, is that it's much easier to say goodbye when it's a project based, or just
Hmm.
for this certain thing. And so there is a lot more flexibility when you're not just putting employees into everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. So as we're talking about fractional executives, somebody's trying to find, okay, am I ready for it? We've talked about that a little bit. Um, what are some of the things that you see when a fractional executive is really may not be your best choice? Maybe it's time to get into a full-time executive, a COO or other C-level person.
So there's a couple like clues that when you need it, and there's one thing I'll say before you even are asking the full time. I think that whether it's full time or fractional, one of the questions you need to ask yourself is what kind of job, because oftentimes there is a big line I like to draw is that, and to put it really simply, do I need more of a doer or a leader? Because a lot of times what you may need full time is a doer, but you're expecting them to also lead. And so the other side of it is like, I'm going to hire this great leader and now I'm expecting them to do. So I think one of the questions you need to be asking yourself before you do any sort of full time or fractional is, what do I really need? Because if you have collapsed those two positions, which so many people do, is like,
Yep.
I know I'll get a fractional or I'll get a full time leader and they can go ahead and lead, but then I can also have them, like, marketing is a great example. Oh, they're a marketing leader, but I'm also going to have them create content. It's like, that is better to have more of a doer because there's a lot more content to create. And
Yes.
you only need to bring in, which kind of goes more to your question, you only really need to bring in an executive and move full time when there's enough executive work.
Yes.
Not when there is more doing work to do. You're going to actually save a lot more money and save a lot less, have a lot less frustration and annoyance by the two different people. The doers don't want to lead and you're asking too much of them and they're not going to be able to leave. And now you're
Yeah.
frustrated because they can't do a job they can't do.
Yes.
The leaders, we don't want to do more detail work. We've worked our way up to have the ability, and it's harder to lead others to execute with excellence.
Hmm.
We're much better in that. And so, going farther, when you're ready for, you truly have enough work for someone to lead, it's usually that you have a larger team, you have a
Hmm.
bigger strategy, you might have bigger projects that you can have them lead versus like the ongoing detail projects. It might be like, okay, we need to move into a whole new market or
Yeah.
another location, or you're preparing for exit, so having something where it is a bigger strategic level project and more folks to lead, those are two ideas of when a full-time is going to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. There is that point where you go over the tipping point where it's just like there's just so much going on that they could be busy working on the strategies and and helping making sure the pieces to execute all day, every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But please don't put them into full-time because you have more doing work.
Yes. That's great. That's a great point because you're right. I wrote down doer or leader because that really is that's the first question you should ask because again, you can get fractional doers as well.
Yes,
And that's a wonderful thing about the
absolutely.
yes, yes, it's so good. So good. So just it's so cool to get to talk to you because when you started talking about your community, I was like, this is and educating business owners around this. It's so nice because you created a place where people can come and just learn about fractionals
Yeah.
and understand how they can help them because it in my experience and seeing them other people and the way that it really helps the business, that outside perspective can be really valuable in helping the business run better. But like you said, is it gives the owners back their time and helps these small businesses be more successful and really solve some long-term issues that they've had.
It's absolutely my pleasure because business is hard enough. You don't have to get in your way. And so we can help you get
Yeah.
out of your way and be able to do the stuff that's much more exciting, which is be doing the research and development, creating the next new thing,
Yeah.
igniting some of that passion in you to go make a difference with your customers or clients. Like that's the stuff we want to free you up to do.
Yes. And it's a wonderful thing, because when you see a business leader that has embraced this strategy of, okay, my business is not big enough that I need a full-time, but I've embraced the fact that I need a fractional COO, for example.
Mhm.
And that COO is taken over the executive part of running the business in a lot of ways, a lot of those pieces. Now that business owner is able to do, they're going to get a little time back. They're not, every weekend, every night goes away, hopefully. But then they can really, when you see them, the light bulb starts to come on and they go, wow, I've wanted to explore this with the business. And I've wanted to explore that with the business to really see where's our next place that we go, because now I've got a partner that can help me execute that vision when we find the right next thing. And that owner freed to see that is so cool, to see how 2, 3, 5 years down the business that they've gone, whew, rather than just plug along flat.
Yeah, that innovation is what will have them continue to survive and thrive during whatever is next. Because
Yeah.
there is going to be always, if we've not learned anything in the last few years, there's always something new to deal with, whether from the days of COVID to having to deal with AI and great resignation, people being
Yeah.
a little more picky with what they get to do for their work.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of these things they're not going to be the only things. We can't fool ourselves to think, okay, I got through this, we're
Yeah.
good, no
Yeah.
new disruption. So you want to be able to be ahead and have some breathing room to think.
Yeah. Just that
We gotta
time to
give you
think.
the gotta give you that time.
Time to think. Yes. Well, Jen, thanks so much for being here today. I mean, we were talking about identifying fractional executive resources for your business. If anyone has questions, what's the best way to get a hold of you, talk about it,
Sure.
and learn from what you guys are doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things I appreciate you mentioning too, if you are a leader within a business, an owner within a business, you can come to our peer roundtables, which are populated with quite a few COOs, and you'll start to have our brains be able to help you go through some of those challenges that are happening. So it's kind of a way to get a fraction of a fractional in our
Fractional,
roundtables.
fractional.
They are free. We host them every month. You can find out about those roundtables. And if you are a fractional COO and you're like, gosh, I want that community, you can find out the same thing at hamiltoncoos.com, our website. We're there to be that hub, that ecosystem of answering all that fractional COO questions, and that place for us to come together as a community.
Nice. Nice. Well, Jen, thanks again for being here. As always, such a pleasure. And just love what you're doing, helping small businesses connect with fractional resources and then help those fractional resources become better in those businesses.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me and for allowing me to educate others and just have them be aware it doesn't have to be this hard.
Yes. Yes. It's my pleasure. Now you have, I didn't want to forget it. You have a podcast or what do you're starting a live, what's going on here? Cause I want to share that before we jump off. I just remembered I'd written it down.
Yeah, it's not out yet. So here we are in the kind of early stages of Q4 2025. Ideally, we'll have it by the beginning of the year, if not a little bit sooner, 2026. It's
Nice.
called Fractional COOs to the Rescue. I love to see, as we were talking about, business owners are heroes in their community.
Mm-hmm.
They're out there, they're the superheroes making a difference with
Yeah.
jobs, with services, with purchasing, with giving back to their community. But every good hero needs a sidekick. So we're those sidekicks to help them be even bigger superheroes in their community. So our podcast is a way for you to eavesdrop on us as two different fractional CEOs, ops experts, talking about one specific area that businesses get stuck and how we solve them, and some stories of what we've done in clients. So you can definitely learn from us, see where you're doing things right, where you could be doing things wrong. But if you're ready to watch some folks and enjoy us geeking out over how to fix businesses, that's what it's all about.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I look forward to that. And that'll be the Fractional COO to the rescue, COOs to the rescue, coming out later this year or early in 2026. Thanks for
Absolutely.
sharing that with us. And we'll make sure to come back and talk about that when you get that going.
Sounds
So
great. I may or may not be wearing a cape. We'll see. No.
we'll see. That would be cool. Very cool. Well, Jen, thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. I know the listeners appreciate it. I can see we have people out there listening today. Thanks everyone for being here. Really, really appreciate you. If you came in late, you want to go back to the beginning because Jen dropped some great information. If you're a business executive, business owner that really is wondering, is a fractional executive for you? She's got some great tips in there, great things. And also go out to the Hamilton COO community, and you can connect with her more there. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Damon.
We'll hang up. We'll finish up offline, Jen. Thanks everyone once again. We're out.